This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show. Hey everyone, welcome back. We have a very special guest today. We have Dr. Erik Korem coming on. I want to come on really quick though and just say, if you're watching the video of this, my video looks a little bit grainy. There was just some issues with my internet while the interview was going on, but the audio is crystal clear and everything else went really smoothly with the interview. So without further ado, let's cut right to the interview with Dr. Erik Korem from AIM7. Welcome back, everyone. We have a very special guest today. I'm going to take a very big, deep breath here because this man has a lot of credentials. So we have Dr. Erik Korem. He is a well-renowned doctor in the health and performance areas in pickleball, but he started off with, he implemented the NFL's first sports science programs. He's worked with NCAA athletes. He's coached Olympic gold medalists. Him and his team of experts have developed the AIM7 app, which is the first pickleball performance app. I actually have it on my phone. I've been trying it out this week and have loved how it's been working. And he's also the host of the Blueprint podcast. If you want to go on there, he has a ton of info on nutrition, mental fitness, different tips and tricks for health and fitness, not just with pickleball, but just in life in general. Thank you so much, Dr. Erik, for coming on.
Andrew, thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here, and it's embarrassing to hear all that stuff.
No, you deserve it, Eric. This is amazing.
Well, I appreciate it.
So NFL, NCAA, Olympic gold medals to pickleball. So I got to know, Eric, how did you get into pickleball?
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Probably like most people. Mine's a little bit different though. It wasn't like somebody invited me to play pickleball and then I just got hooked. My expertise is, turning data into human performance solutions. So I trained athletes, and then we were at the very beginning of sports science, actually helped pioneer athlete wearables here in the States about 13, 14 years ago now. And so we got really good at using wearable data and other data sets to create ultra personalized solutions for athletes. What I wanted to do was bring that ability to anybody with a smartphone or a wearable. And so I just thought this shouldn't be for just athletes. Like everybody should be able to look, feel, and perform better, right? And so we built the first version of AIM7 was for the general health and performance community that was using an Apple Watch and was like, dude, this is just data. Tell me what to do. I want more out of this thing. And it was doing pretty good because we create these really cool algorithms that can hyper personalize things for you. But I knew that if we were going to grow and grow fast, we needed to find a niche audience. And a friend of mine who helped start DUPR and Major League Pickleball called me and was like, hey, you need to look at pickleball. And I'm like, this is purely business. Okay. And I'm like, pickleball. And he's like, dude, this is an exploding market. And there's nobody talking about really put out a consumer tech product for the performance and the health of these players. And I looked into it. I'm like, dear goodness, pickleball is not exactly an inherently dangerous sport, but there's almost 400 million in injuries last year. And then I started going and watching it and playing it. And I'm like, man, nobody's educating these folks. People are just figuring it out for themselves, which is typically how it starts. And so I honestly fell in love with the community. Then I got to start working with some of the top players. And I mean, one of them today, I work with Megan Fudge, and she's preparing for nationals, and we're doing some of her training. And you know, it's all the same stuff. I just love solving problems. And so I got hooked. And so we basically put a new layer on top of our app, put out a public beta, and it did really well. So we launched the new version on October 1, the one that you're playing with, Andrew. And we have a whole bunch of crazy stuff that's about to hit that people are going to be, I think, it's not only going to be different like in the pickleball market, it's just going to be totally differentiated in health and performance in general.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to the new stuff. I've just, like I said, only a week, and I've been just messing around with it a bit, but I've really liked a bunch of the stuff that's been on there. There's as someone who's trying to get out of dad bod shape and back into play college sports, but it's been a while, so I'm trying to get myself back into some now, because now that my wife and I are up in that 4.5, 5.0 range in pickleball.
Let's go.
I need to get myself a little bit more so I can last through a full tournament a little bit better. So I've been looking, so okay, what exercise and stuff can I actually do to help me with this stuff? So just looking through the app and seeing some of that stuff has been really helpful for me, and just instead of me just going to the gym, just pushing weights at random. So I've really enjoyed it so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially you need to play with me, right? No, I was just joking. Anyway, yeah.
Go to where Victor is. I'm about 5 hours away, but I play with him, and he used to play tennis, so I gotta pick my game up.
The cheat code for pickleball.
Yeah. My background was basketball and a little bit of ping pong, so I got a little bit of the spins down. Not a lot of the footwork helped a lot with that, but not a lot of the just basic paddle play. So
for sure.
But that was a little different. But like I'll just say for myself, my perspective, like I barely maybe play pickleball more frequently, maybe 3 years ago, probably. I was more a tennis player before, and I do have some injuries from tennis, and that's the reason why I transitioned to pickleball. But now I'm starting to have some pickleball injuries, so like my knees, some plantar fasciitis. Some tennis elbow also is coming in, and I kind of recognize I'm not doing the exercise that I should have been doing. And I think that's very important, because not just only me, like the people that is playing in my group are also suffering a little bit the same thing, that kind of pull them away from playing more pickleball now, because they're been playing so much, but they are not being training themselves or even exercising properly, in order to prevent some injuries. So I think what you have been starting is going to be super important to help those people to avoid having to get into the injury, and then missing out extensive period of time. Not only that, we can also see on the pro scene the more and more, especially at the PPA and the MLP. Now this year it has been crazy. A lot of other podcasts has been saying it, and Zane has been saying it. They're playing way too much than they like maybe used to be like a year or two ago. And then you start to see people injured here and there. You see Christian Alshon missed a couple of months. You see Tyson McCuffin pulling out some tournaments. You see even like this tournament in Dallas, Ben Johns, his ankle is still hurt. It's still not doing well. So
there's only so much trauma. I mean, pickleball is stress, right? Everything is stress in life, and pickleball applies stress to the tissues. And there's only so much the tissues can take. Now you can build capacity for more, but everybody's got a breaking point. And then if you look at all the factors that could lead to an injury, sleep, hydration, travel, relationship stress, there's all sorts of things that injuries is a very complex problem. But I will say this, Wing, that there are like several basic things that can dramatically reduce your risk for injuries that players just don't do. And some of it can take as little as 5 minutes. And there's a lot of like, I don't know, I think it's part of it is education, and part of it is, I'll just give you one, for example, right? Warming up. And not bending over and touching your toes. I'm talking like a real what's called a neuromuscular warm up. There's 4 parts to a neuromuscular warm up. It doesn't take very long. The literature is very clear. If you warm up, it reduces your risk of injury. The more frequently you warm up, the more protective benefits you get. And also, if you do the right types of warm up, it improves your movement literacy, which means you're actually going to be able to move better on the court. What was really interesting, a guy reached out to us. His name's Tanner Wallace. He plays in Michigan. He's a 5-0 player. And he found our app and he just DMs me, right? Like, I get all sorts of crazy stories. And this guy was like, dude, I'm winning more matches now. And I'm like, well, why are you winning more matches? He's like, I'm starting faster. I was like, well, why are you starting faster? He goes, because I never warmed up before. And now I'm winning these early points. And so like, if you just do, there's 4 basic things, but one of them is a neuromuscular warm up. And what I'm trying to do is make it the thing to do. Like every pro sport, NBA, Major League Baseball, tennis, football, those players don't just roll out there. They go out and warm up. And even like CrossFit, they go through a warm up, right? Like it's got to become part of the culture. And that's why I wear this shirt that says "Be Weird, Warm Up." It's like, how do we make this so that it's something that people are like, what, you're not going to do this? Like, are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? And let's do it as a foursome before we go out there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, I agree, because a lot of people, like especially pickleball, they show up on the court and they just right away like, I want to play. I was like, well, guys, I'm not even warmed up. Like my legs is not warmed up yet. My hands are not warmed up. Like no, let's go play. And they're like,
and then
fine,
pop goes the Achilles.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of that this year. We've had a few of our pros here in Canada who play in the CNPL and CPA have either had an Achilles or some type of ankle or anything down there injury. Like we've had, I know one of our newer pros, Caitlin Soroka, blew one of her. I want to say it was her Achilles or her ACL just a couple ago, and now she's going to be out for like a year and a half type of thing. So it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I actually just made a reel today. And it starts off, I'm walking. I say, if you want to rupture your Achilles, just keep scrolling.
That's a good catch. Like, I like that.
Yeah. And then I'm going to give them like some exercises you can do to like prevent this. But it's like, it's very interesting because people typically flee pain before they pursue pleasure. But here's what's weird about pickleball. I've noticed pickleball players, especially people that play a lot, are more concerned about winning than they are about like the underlying things. And I think that's just the maturity of the game. Cause like the closest thing I can see pickleball being like is CrossFit. Pickleball is CrossFit, but for everybody. Because CrossFit has a box, right? And everybody goes to their box and they eat quinoa with their bros and they do all their whatever. They get tattoos and wear short shorts and take their shirts off, right? That's just that's what people do, right? In pickleball, it's a foursome, and then plus you got your other 10 friends that you see at the court. So that's your box. But now it's multi-generational. So what I think the future of pickleball is you're going to start seeing these hybrid places where it's like fitness and pickleball together. Because people are starting to realize like I can get really competitive at any age and I'm getting all my aerobic exercise on the court. Like I could do the other stuff in the same facility and have one membership.
Yeah, that's, and actually just to prove that point, where my club is up here way north in Peace River, there is literally a gym in the same facility. My wife and I have a membership there, and we'll go. Even my wife is an avid stretcher, so she actually forces me to stretch, which thank God for that, because I probably would have ruptured something.
Good wife.
Exactly right. So she'll go say, no, let's go to the gym. We'll do a stretch, a good half hour before we go to pickleball, and then we'll go in and play pickleball, and then you know what, we're gonna go stretch after too. So
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree because like well, you look at the US right now, every Lifetime Fitness almost has a pickleball court, right? So that's already a trend. Hasn't been coming to Canada yet, unfortunately. But I will say most of the tennis club in Canada has a gym. So therefore now most of those tennis court has been starting to be converted to pickleball courts. So therefore people technically has access to gym. One of the big facility in currently in Edmonton that they will build, they actually build if I'm not mistaken, 24 pickleball courts, but they're also going to include a gym. They're going to include also other sports, physiotherapy, everything in there. I think that's a very good business plan. And for the people now, okay, I need to do strengthening. That's a bit also that will bring up their gym membership in at some point.
For sure. We kind of saw this at the beginning, like it's just the maturation of a market, right? But how do you make all this affordable? That's the next question.
Yes, exactly.
So that was kind of my thought with the Aim7 app, is like you got the court, you're going to have your coach or your friends or YouTube to teach you the skills. We don't want to mess with the skills, but like, what are all the other things that we can provide you at extremely low cost, or soon maybe free for part of it, so the players can just stay healthy and on the court? Because here's something crazy. Okay, I don't know if you guys know, we're doing UCLA just funded a study with us, because we can demonstrate that if you use Aim7 and you play pickleball, that your mental and physical well-being improves. And so I'll actually give you guys a link, because I think there's like 150 spots left for this study, and they're paying for people to use our app.
Wow.
So if anybody wants to use it for 90 days, absolutely free, I'll give you guys that link. And if you qualify, which most people will, you should have to have an iPhone, I think an Apple Watch or something like that. But yeah, it's like you're going to see a lot of stuff coming out on longevity, because here's the thing, like the World Health Organization wants everybody to do 150 to 300 minutes of what's called moderate to vigorous physical activity, heart rate elevated activity. Singles definitely qualifies as vigorous. Doubles qualifies as moderate. So if you play pickleball for 150 minutes a week, check that box. You also need to be doing at least 2 total body resistance training sessions per week. If you do that and play pickleball for over 150 minutes, data shows, not specifically pickleball, but the 150 minutes of MVPA, you reduce your risk of all-cause mortality by 41%.
That's good. That's really good. I like that.
That's significant.
From pickleball perspective, if you do resistance training twice a week and there's certain rules you have to follow. It's like how many reps in different parts of the body. You can reduce your risk of injury in on any sport by about 66%. So like a lot of these things don't really take a lot of time and additional effort, right? And not only are you going to have fun with your friends, but then you just elongate your life. That's why I think pickleball is so promising, because of the social aspects, the on-court aspect. It's like it's checking so many boxes. It's so cool.
Oh, exactly. My parents started playing with me and my wife, and they're both up in their 60s, and it's just like I'm like, this is so good, because they both are still very active for their age, but like I know my dad could shed a couple pounds, and just him doing that with us is just, I'm already starting to see better movements and stuff like that. So it's already something looking forward to. So
hey, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Have you looked at our socials?
I've looked at it. I've been trying to keep up. Like once when you reached out to us, and I started kind of scrolling through and checking a bunch. There was a bunch I really liked.
We've had some viral ones. We have one that's got like 3.4 million views right now. Like we've got some crazy stuff. We like to do comedy and education, but I made one today on why pickleball is better for weight loss than Ozempic. And like I go through kind of 5 things, but when you start to think about it, like anyways, I'm just trying to look at this from a different perspective, right? to reach more folks. But anyways.
Oh, absolutely. And comedy is one of the best ways to do it, just because it gets people a chuckle, they remember it, and then hey, if you can have a good message in there as well, it just makes it better.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, at the same topic, so Eric, can you tell us about more about like your app, how your app is set up? So, like for Joes like me, just I just
Yeah.
come in. How I should be navigating? How should I get like those programs started?
Yeah. So I'll tell you about a new feature that Andrew, you haven't seen, that'll come out next week. And this is kind of like, we're really excited about this. So when you use the app, you can connect your wearable. If you don't have a wearable, that's fine. You don't have to, but having a wearable makes it even more powerful. But every day you're going to see something called a calibration. And that calibration is going to ask you some questions about your mood, your energy level, how you slept the night before. And this is all really important in order to be able to create you a personalized recommendation. Okay. Then once you fill that out, Aim7 is then going to kind of calculate a bunch of stuff. And the first thing you're going to see, this is going to pop up next week, Andrew, is Aim7 then is going to tell you like how long and how hard you can play pickleball today to prevent injury and improve performance. So mine's saying you're in good shape today. To lower injury risk, you can play pickleball for up to 63 minutes at a hard intensity. So now it's like, most people, it's like, when do I back off? When do I push harder? You know, it's all based off of my data. Then in the app, we break it down between things you can do like before you play and then after you play or off the court. So we have nutrition and hydration recommendations as far as like macros, how much fluid and electrolytes to be consuming. And that's about to go to a whole nother level here in the next coming months. We give you breath work tools to help. So like you could be in your car on your way there and use these different breath work tools to help to alert your nervous system and kind of narrow in your focus. And then we have these neuromuscular warm-ups. So you can come in and be like, all right, I've got 7 minutes. I want an easy warm-up and I have to do it in a 5x5 space. And then it's video walkthrough on every single thing that you need to do. When you're done playing, we have stretching exercises and breath work tools to help you kind of relax and start speeding up recovery. And then this mobility section is insane. We have daily mobility. So you can, in your living room, you can do daily mobility sessions led by Dr. Kyle Richmond. Like there are entire apps that just are this one feature. And then you can be like, hey, my calf or my knee or my hip or my low back, I want to improve mobility or reduce pain. Take you through a 12-week program for every one of those things. We have resistance training plans that you can build. We're basically starting with fundamental strength training. You can pick, I have body weight, I have dumbbells and kettlebells, I have a full gym, I have 30 minutes, I only want to go twice a week. Then it customizes it. And here's the really cool thing. We adjust your reps, sets, and intensity every day based off of how your body's adapting to stress, which allows you to, this is core IP that we developed. And research shows that when you adjust your training daily based off of what you're capable of handling, you get better results significantly faster. Because if you're in a state where you can't adapt, then what happens? You maladapt, and that's when you get sick or injured. So we're pairing the right dose of stress with what your body can handle. Does that make sense? That's like the really differentiating factor about this.
It makes sense to me. I really like that. I know a couple years ago, for that, where you're saying how you're feeling that day and how much like it changes, like say the amount of reps or even the amount of weight. I've pulled a muscle up in my neck before. I did that a couple years ago just because I wasn't feeling great that day. But I was like, you know what? No, I can lift. Every other day I lift this way. Should still be able to lift this. And then wouldn't you know it, 3 reps in, and then my neck is like stiff for like a good week and a half after that because I pulled something. And all would have taken is a couple less reps and maybe like another 5 pounds lower or whatever the app would have said. But when one told me it, right, it was just.
Here's the thing, Andrew, you knew.
Yeah.
And here's the key, like the Oura Ring or the Apple Watch they don't know how you feel. So they're indexing on things that don't match reality when the data shows us that how you feel is the most sensitive indicator for how you're adapting to stress. So we combine all of that in the back end. So you can see the type of things that we're going to be able to put out in the future. We're working towards building what are called N of one forecasting models, or like a model just for you. It is for you, but I'm saying is like how to get you to speed up your performance. Like I'm a 3.0, I want to get to a 5.0. What's the quickest path there? We're working on features where we'll be able to help you peak. Like you'll be able to pick a day and be like, I want to peak on this day. And then we adjust your plans moving backwards. Like pretty gnarly stuff. And I think pickleball is the perfect place to do this because people are just insanely in love with this sport, you know, and they're playing leagues and tournaments all the time, right?
That's true.
No, absolutely. And just and like and for those of some of our newer listeners who are just getting into competitive sports, when he's talking about peaking, a really good example is like track and field or swimming, where you hear the swimmers talking about, okay, I want to be peaking at Olympics, or I want to be peaking at the World Championship. So they start off at one particular speed or however intensely, and then they're working their way up to that. So the kind of the same thing. If you want to peak at Pickleball Nationals next year, you could type that in this new app. Basically, could say, okay, this is where you should be getting these points, working your way up to that. I love that.
That's not out yet. We're working on that to come out in the next couple months, 3-4 months, but we're building all of this right now. But you're exactly right, Andrew. And the real key to this thing is like peaking is hard. It's incredibly hard. I don't know if you know this, but less than 2% of the athletes that competed at the last Olympic Games had a personal best at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. There was 10,000, I believe, 500 athletes, and only 2% peaked. Had a personal best.
Yeah.
So the key is you want to become more adaptable to stress. There's a bigger thing behind Aim 7 than just pickleball. We want to help people become more adaptable to physical and mental stress. When you're more adaptable, guess what? You're operating like, if this is your baseline, you're not having these huge fluctuations day to day. You're operating more tightly or less perturbations from your baseline. That's what you want, is stability in your personal life, in your personal health, and then it translates to on-court performance. Then but the only way you get there is by actually listening to your body and being willing to adjust. So this Wednesday, I typically lift weights on Wednesday. I think it was because of like election night, or like I woke up Wednesday morning and I was just like dead, right? And I was like, I knew what Aim 7 was going to tell me, and I did everything, and Aim 7 was like, today is not the day to play pickleball. You should back off. So what did I do? I ended up walking, I think, like 10 or 15,000 steps that day. Like I took a long morning walk, took several walks during the day, and at night I just put on my weighted vest, took out no earphones, just chilled, and like went on a walk for like 45, 50 minutes, woke up the next day feeling a lot better. But we live in a world where we're like, no, square peg, round hole. I can do this. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm David Goggins, just tough it out. And then, you know, whatever, you get blown up, and that's just not good. You know, we're regular human beings.
Yeah. It's almost like putting that pride aside and saying, no, I got to do what's right for the body, not just, no, I'm going to push through this.
And winning looks different every day. Like winning could be, I'm going to go on a walk and I'm going to do 15 minutes for my mental health, or I'm just going to connect with a friend or my spouse. All of it works together. It's not just physical. The mental side is so important. And so like, I think if we can help people realize that I'm winning by prioritizing and then just adjusting my plan, like that, I think can have a tremendous impact on folks.
Absolutely. And I can't remember who said it to me a while ago, but just to kind of go off that, especially with the mental side, what you said was he goes, well, you take your vehicle in every now and then for the oil change. You should be doing the same. So your body's the vehicle, but you also have to take care of the driver upstairs with the mind. So should be doing that as well.
For sure. We have a whole back end, by the way, that's not in the app. I don't know if you've gotten into the Circle community yet. but we have a circle community, and we are putting out a ridiculous amount. It's about to be loaded up. We have more mental performance tools. So we got the former senior psychologist for the U.S. Olympics. Sorry, nothing against Canada, but that's where my experts were.
Oh, that's totally
yeah. And he does a whole series on psychological flexibility and mindfulness. And actually, the former head of wellness and development for the Toronto Raptors, Alex Arbach, we're about to load up a bunch of stuff on mental performance for pickleball. So we're trying to like create all these videos, and then we do webinars in there and like live calls on like the mental side. Cause I think that's like, once your skill level gets to a certain point, or even a 3.5 versus a 3.5, like when skill is equal, the differentiating factor is almost always between the ears.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you process a bad point and move forward? Can you not spiral out of control? Is your focus not getting so narrow that you have more optionality on the court? How are you regulating your emotions? That's really winning athletics in swimming, in track, in American football, or in pickleball.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny. I was talking to my daughter who does competitive swimming. I was talking to her about that because she also plays volleyball, and she had one of her teammates actually have a little bit of a breakdown mid-game. And her teammate played hockey and basketball. And I said, okay, well, the big difference with hockey and basketball is if you make a mistake, you can hustle back, get on defense or whatever, and kind of make up for it. Like there's the way to kind of fix that mental mixed up quicker. I said, whereas volleyball, swimming, and now especially pickleball, once you make the mistake, the point's over. You now have to kind of wash that, get ready for the next point. If you let that stick, it's going to eat you alive, and then the match is just going to keep going poorly.
I
call it the 1 point mentality.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. And especially I would say even in pickleball, even more important, because in a regular pickleball game, you only can score when you're serving, right? So therefore, if you're able to have a quick side out, you go through a big run, game is over until you realize it. So therefore, happens to me multiple times. Last year in the Alberta provincial, I was down 2-13. So it went to 15. We're down 2-13. I needed that one side out. We went 15-13. The opponent was like, "What happened?"
Yeah, and
they thought they had it. They had us. They thought they had us. We're dead. We're 2 points from dying. Nope. Here we go.
Do you ever watch American football?
Oh yes, I have fantasy league and everything, right?
Okay, my fantasy league is horrible this year. My team is like awful. But anyways, a great example of this, and like say what you may, but like Bill Belichick, he doesn't show any emotion. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, part of that is his demeanor in life in general, but it's also very deliberate during games because, like, you know, he's got to be able to think very clearly. And when you can think clearly, you have all of your options open to you. And I heard it said that, like, this was like in football, but like every play has a lifespan of its own. And so, like in pickleball, we teach the release, reset, refocus framework. Alex came up with this. We're basically like, when the point's over with, good, bad, or indifferent, you need to release it. But let's say it's bad outcome for you. First of all, you need to give yourself permission to deal with it later, and literally just flush it. So some people like cue with like they kind of smack themselves on their thigh with their paddle, or they'll walk back and touch the fence or whatever, but you never release mechanism. Reset, you need to reset in the present moment. And so you can ground yourself with like grounding tools, like you could wiggle your toes in your shoes, because that kind of brings you to physical reality. You could just breathe in and breathe out and kind of focus on the air coming in and out of your nostrils, something that brings you into a physical moment, the present. And then refocus, think what's important now. And like, what is the one thing I can control? So let's say you're on defense. Is it your alignment? Is, you know, whatever it is. It's like communicating with your partner, getting set for the next point. Take one confident action. And if the people that can be really, really good at this and can really just I'll give you an example. Like, I've been trying to work on this myself. I don't know if I got COVID again or what, but I was so sick for like a month. Then I go up to Dallas and these guys are like, let's play pickleball. And I'm like, I hadn't exercised in literally like 3 or 4 weeks. I was that sick. And I'm like, okay. And I'm on the court. My heart rate's like 170. And I'm a person that exercises a lot. I'm in good shape and I'm just dying. Right.
Yep.
And this is not me, but I'm playing with like a 5-0, a good 4-5 player. And I'm obviously the weakest, but I didn't want to be the guy to ruin the game, right, for my partner. So the first game was a blowout, but then I'm like, okay, Eric, let's put this into place. And we ended up battling back and winning, you know, the next one. And then that last 2 were very competitive. We lost by like a point or 2. And I was obviously the weakest link, but it was really cool for me to be like, I'm sick. I don't feel good. My heart's racing. I'm sweating like a beast, but like I was able to put that skill into practice and make it enjoyable for my partner. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I've in tournaments, I've been like that too. Just for some reason, the one game, just like, I don't know what's going on. Particularly my third shot drop isn't falling this one. Okay, okay, next shot's gonna be a drive. Just, you know, get it over the net. There's the success, Kate. Now work your way up to doing that. And same thing, talking to the wife, Kate. Yeah, I know I'm not feeling it right now, but we're gonna, you know, work our way through this. We're good. But yeah, like, and it's funny because me and my wife play together a lot, and we both had games like that. And sometimes it's just the same thing, simple as calling the quick timeout, saying, Kate, breathe, refocus, we're good, we got this, like, and then just coming back onto the court, and then all of a sudden we're good to go again. But yeah, it's definitely like finding that, like you said, whether it's like the one player smacking their leg with the paddle, going and touching the fence, finding that thing to kind of just be like, I'm good.
And I think it's very important, Eric, that you probably pointed out. A lot of people just like try to go with the flow and think, okay, I'll just get it at the next point. Okay, I'll just get it at the next point. But they don't kind of reset themselves or just like calm down themselves on the next point, right? So they're just not taking this moment, and then they just roll through it and thought that things will go to their way eventually. But it, unfortunately, pickleball is like 11 points. It's over after 11 points.
Nothing in life happens by accident unless you're just playing dice, you know, like, and even then there's odds, right? So it's like, you have to be intentional. And maybe, you know, this level of pickleball isn't for everybody, right? There's some people that just like, I just want to go out and play a couple, like once a month or twice a month. Those who probably aren't listening to your podcast. It's the people that are playing 3 or more times a week. This is the thing that they love. And, you know, they don't want to, you want to go out if you're competing and just feel like you did your best. And as long as, I think most of us would agree, yes, winning is important. But if you can walk off the court and be like, you know what, I played really well, and maybe we lost, like there's a sense of like personal pride and like progress that takes place. I think that's healthy. I think it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And I do, like, I've been in, like, it's I know that when I was still like 3-0, 3-5, we had a game against a couple 4 or 5 players. And I said, hey, if we make them work for every point, if we give them a really good game, like even if we lose, say 11-4, but they had to earn every single point, I can walk away with that happy. Like, it's not like I'm not going to be mad as long as I made the shots I could make. I adjusted with what I could adjust. I was like, I'm probably not going to win this match, but you know what? If we make them work and we have fun, and in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I at least earned their respect, and I respect myself after that game's over, type of thing. So,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we don't have Eric for much more time, so and we kind of covered this already in the mental thing. But Eric, do you got a quick kind of tidbit you could give some of our newer listeners who are starting to really get into tournaments, about kind of like tournament preparation?
Yeah. A couple things. Like, one is you let's say you're going to play all 3 days. Okay. Or if you're just going to play my mixed doubles. All right, just choose. I'm going to play singles, mixed doubles, and doubles, or I'm just going to play mixed doubles, whatever it is. The first thing you have to know is like, what is the worst case scenario? This is what people, I don't think about enough. You got to reverse engineer what's about to happen. Worst case scenario, you have to play 5 or 6 30-minute matches in a day. If it's a decent sized pool. Even worst case scenario is you have to do that 3 days in a row if you plan to win. Okay. Yeah. What happens is people aren't adapted to that level of pickleball volume. And so they either they fatigued, they get injured, or they just literally can't make it. And so, and I'll tell you what I'll do when we're done here. I've actually put a couple things in our little chat here. One is I have a tournament guide that's free, 17 pages on all of this. I'll give it to you guys. People can access that for free. But you need to start building up your training volume. So if it's like 12 weeks out and you're like, I'm going to play singles, then you need to be able to build up enough volume where you can handle that. Okay. And thrive. The next thing is like, what is your nutrition strategies? The first time I went to the US Open last year, I was just blown away at, first of all, what a grind that is. But two, like people just had no plan. Like they were just like, oh, I'm so hungry and tired. And I'm like, you knew like what was like, you have the answers to the test. This isn't like some like random like survivor experience, right? You need to make sure that you have snacks, that you're well hydrated, and that you have a plan. All of that is in this guide that we built. And then also, like, I would look at your physical conditioning. If you're playing doubles is like zone 2 aerobic exercise. It's pretty adequate to get you fit. If you're playing singles, there are some things you could do off the court from a more high intensity interval training that would be very helpful in preparing your metabolic systems for that. Because singles in pickleball, it looks to be more arduous than singles in tennis because there's more accelerations and decelerations. I coached tennis from a strength and conditioning perspective at 3 Division I universities, men's and women's. As you know, women's tennis is very different than men's tennis. Very, very different. It's almost like a separate sport. The rally durations are way longer. Men's tennis, it's like you can have just a serving monster and it's just like one and done.
Yeah, John Isner just acing you nonstop.
Yeah, it's become a power game. But you need to be prepared for that. And so I would just look at it from like, am I prepared physically to handle that much training ball, that much pickleball in a day or consecutive days? Do I have a nutrition and hydration plan in place so that I don't bonk out there? Because that can happen. You get hypoglycemic and you're just like, I have no energy left. Watch that happen. And then do you have some mental tools in your toolbox that you can go to and then, you know, to help you stay on top of your game as the day goes on? Because just like anything else, you're going to get really fatigued.
I agree, because just to couple on the US Open, my US Open experience probably 2 to 3 years ago was quite overwhelming. Like, yes, we won, but it was quite overwhelming, right? For us, we have to travel from Canada to US. Obviously, that was already quite challenging. And then after that, seeing all like 60 plus court on in that facility, they're super overwhelming. And then you have a large pool that usually in Canada we don't have that much of a pool of player that we play per bracket. You're not expecting, oh, I have to play almost like 8 to 9 or even 10 games to get to the gold medal match. You're like, I'm not ready for that. I'm just thinking about, like, in Canada, oh, maybe 5 to 6 match I get to go to medal match, and I'm almost guaranteed a medal after 5. Well, no, you have to play 10 in order to reach there. Like, oh,
these are brutal days.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like,
yeah, I did those at nationals last year. We were playing in the mixed doubles, and I think for that one bracket there was like 50 teams or whatever it was, and I think we started at 8 a.m. We played in the bronze medal game at, I think it was 8 p.m. So it was just like 8 to 8 for for the whole day. And by the time it was over,
gosh.
and there was a spot there where we went through a couple teams pretty quick, but then our side of the bracket got way too far ahead of the other side, and they kept on having like 3-setter matches. So I think there was like a 4-hour delay there for us before our next match. And me and my wife were just trying to stretch, trying to keep ourselves hydrated, trying to like eat our snacks. We're starting to be like, okay, I'm starting to stiffen up. Okay, let's get moving. I was like,
you've got to keep moving. That's the other thing too, is like, you like if you have some warm up, just 5 minutes, like at least, like get a good warm up before you start the first one. And then if there's time, you need to do, because you always need to go general to specific, like do some jumping jacks, do some squats, do some knee, hip, ankle rotations, all this kind of stuff, mobilize your joints. Okay, ready to go. Then you kind of dink with your opponent and do all the normal stuff. But if you don't do that, like it's gonna feel weird. It's like cold starting the engine every time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm looking at the time right now. I know Eric's got to go because he's a busy man. Man, this 40 minutes flew by, Eric. Thank you so much. I would love to have you back on because I feel like we could talk to you about this for hours and just geek out about all this.
Hey, I'd love to come back. I would consider it a privilege. You guys are doing some awesome stuff, and I'm excited to be a part of helping this pickleball community. So we'll put a bunch of stuff in the show notes for free resources for y'all. There is one resource in there. We just built like the most extensive pickleball elbow guide that you could ever imagine. We went and looked at the recent literature. We looked at supplements. My wife's a doctor of physical therapy as well. Nice. So that's not free. That's like less than $10 though. But I have to make a living somehow. I have 3 kids.
No, absolutely.
But everything else is free. And so I'll also get you that tournament guide in there so that you can get that out to people if they want to access it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll make sure all that's in the show notes for everyone. So everyone and before we go, Eric, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so AIM7PB, AIM7PB is in pickleball. You can also follow me at Erick Korem on Instagram. Check out the blueprint. I think you'll love it. And then we do have a weekly newsletter that, it's like, we just put it out today on, we did a whole series on like all the different recovery tools out there. What's the research say about them? What's a scam? What's real? We did a deal on caffeine. Like, how does that impact performance? We have stuff on mental performance in almost every single newsletter. That's free. That comes out like every Friday. We have 20,000 people reading it right now. So,
wow. I did subscribe to that newsletter. So
awesome. We're
Nice,
trying to build the biggest pickleball performance community and really just serve folks with the best education we can give. So I really appreciate everything.
Perfect. Thank you again so much for joining us, Eric. Make sure you check the show notes for all that stuff Eric's going to add in, and check out the AIM7 app. Like I said, I've been using it just for a week and I've already really, really enjoyed it. And with all the new features coming out, I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Awesome. And we'll put the UCLA link in there so you can get it for free. I mean, that's a great deal.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Eric. It has been a pleasure and an honor also to have you on our pod.
Thank you so much.
All right. Once again, a big thank you to Dr. Erick Korem for coming on. For those of you who are listening, we are going to have the links to all of the stuff he was talking about in the show notes or in the link below. The AIM7 app, the trial run with the UCLA to get the 3 months of the app for free. His tournament preparation thing is going to be on there as well. Make sure you follow him on his socials. Lots of fun humor with it, but also lots of great tips and tricks for being healthy within pickleball, proper hydration, and all that stuff. So once again, thank you again for Dr. Eric for coming on, and hopefully we can get him on again. Thanks, everyone.